Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the SKNIS Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.
I'm Ian Richards. Welcome to InFocus, a weekly program where we zoom in on what's happening within and throughout the government, your government. The month of May is being observed as Blindness Awareness Month. Globally, the World Health Organization estimates that there are 2.2 billion people with near or distant vision impairment. Today, we will focus on the local situation for persons who are blind and visually impaired with Rockcliffe Boyne, President of the Society for the Blind in St. Kitts, as well as Doreen Johnson, the parent of twin boys who are visually impaired. And later, Mrs. Maricia Brown, Government's Coordinator for Disability Services, will join the conversation. Stay with us as we delve into your government, your business. Thanks for staying with us for InFocus. We begin our conversation with Mr. Rockcliffe Boyne and Ms. Doreen Johnson. Mr. Boyne, we'll start with you. As we mentioned earlier, you are blind. What can you tell us about how that developed?
First of all, let me take this opportunity to say thanks to you for inviting me on the program this afternoon. I lost my sight when I was 11 years old. I born with internal cataract. Internal cataract, it is something that, you cannot, it's not like the other cataract where, you can cut and then, sometimes, you regain your sight. And as time goes on, gradually, it started to, deteriorate. And at age 11, I was a sixth grader. I lost my sight and had to be discharged from school. And because of that, I was robbed of an high school education.
And in your opinion, being able to not have that opportunity to receive that high school education, how did that affect you?
Well, it was very severe, It was a very severe moment that very devastating indeed, because, imagine yourself at age 11, right away what comes to mind, is your entire future, And since I was growing up, going to primary school, I always had wanted to become a journalist. And, if you want to be a journalist, you have to know to read and write properly and this kind of stuff. And when that happened, I said, oh my God, I cannot achieve, that goal, I set myself. Also, I had wanted to play cricket, since a little boy, I used to listen to cricket. And sometimes when I tell people, they would laugh. I used to pray to God as a little boy. I said, I want to get tall. I said, Lord, please help me to go to get tall, because, I want to be a fast bowler, But with family support, and I had a wonderful mother, brothers and sisters, they were able to help me, overcome, those, challenging time in my life.
And so what would you say is life like for you now as a blind person living in St. Kitts and Nevis?
Well, now as an adult, I have overcome my blindness. I am living comfortably, I am working, I got married. I must say that originally I was born in the Republic of Guyana. I came to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to take up residency in 1992. And again, it was very challenging for me because, leaving one country and, coming to another country, I had to adapt myself, with the new, surroundings, the environment. But I was able to cope with it, quite nicely. Sometimes people, they admire me. They said, people who know that I am from Guyana, they would say, wow, when they see me walking the streets in Bastia alone, tapping my cane, they said, boy, well, you didn't born here. And, you're getting around so well, and it is something that I must say that, I was able to, achieve. I was helped by some folks. There's a little boy, he's deceased now. He used to take me around, he took me to different streets, he told me the name of the street, different business places, and I was able to adapt, and, now, as I said, I'm doing quite well, I'm doing pretty well.
Right, and this certainly is very encouraging to hear. And Ms. Johnson, let me bring you into the conversation right now because, as we established at the beginning, you are the parent of twin boys who are visually impaired. Tell us a bit about that. What are the boys' names?
My son's names are Keon and Keandre Roach. They are 15 years old now. They attend the Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School. My sons were born at 26 weeks and 5 days, which is basically 6 months. They received too much oxygen at the hospital, basically, which caused the blindness. Well, in their case, they needed the oxygen in order to survive. Because as we say in life, they used to crash a lot, meaning stop breathing a lot. Mm-hmm. So they had to be resuscitated on different occasions. And in that mean that the oxygen was turned up more than one time. We spent like 2.5 months inside the hospital. When they were born, they were only 1 pound 14 ounces each. So by the time we left the hospital, they were 2 pounds 14 ounces each. So we could have hold them in the palm of our hands. By the time we got home, about when they were about 3 months, is when we realized that they had a whitey substance in their eyes. And we had to take them back to the hospital where they had eye examination, and so where they were diagnosed, one with retinopathy and the other one had cataract in both eyes.
What's the difference between the two? Retinopathy, what is that?
The retinopathy means that the nerves and so were detached from the eyes.
Right.
And the cataract mean that they had the calcification of the eyes, basically. But by the time we got to Barbados, we went to Barbados when they were 2 years old. They were, I think, a month or two away from being 3, actually. And it was basically too late. They did 1 surgery each on both eyes. But the ophthalmologist there, he said that it was a bit too late to do the second surgery, where he was saying that they could have crushed the nerves inside of the eyes in order to help them to see. But that wasn't possible. So
that must have been very challenging for you as an unexpected mother and now a new mother, especially with twin boys.
Well, at first, yes, but my mom helped me a lot in terms of getting the literature and stuff for me while you know, being in the hospital and so, because dealing with a premature child in its fact is very difficult. They normally call it like a roller coaster, where at one time you could be alive and next time the child is dead, basically in your arms. So that was a the greatest challenge that I faced, knowing that you could be here, you know, talking, laughing with your child, and then next thing they just stop breathing in front of you just like that. One of my biggest challenges in dealing with that was because I'm a nurse also, I end up had to resuscitate my own children at some point, you know, so I will always tell people, dealing with people, you know, doing it for somebody else, yes, your heart is in it, but then when it comes home, it is even more difficult, because if, God forbid, if any of them had end up passing, I would be thinking like, you know, maybe I did something wrong, or, you know, I could have done something differently. Even with other patients, you know, I always go back and think what I could have done differently. But with your own, it's extreme, extreme, extreme.
Right, and so, of course, as you mentioned, they're 15 now, so tell us a bit about the quality of life that they enjoy here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
To be honest, I would say we could do better. If persons accept the fact that we have these people in society and will more like look out for them.
And when you say these people, you're talking about persons who are differently abled.
Who are disabled in general. Sometimes, okay, my sons use the cane like Mr. Boring. And that's one of the things that they were taught in school, how to walk with a cane. When we were living in town, like on Saturdays, Sundays, you know, I used to bring them in town and let them venture in front of me using the cane.
Yeah.
If I realized they're going wrong, I would say, no, stop, you know, wait for me, let me show you this or whatever. But they were good with the canes.
Yeah.
But because people will say, those are the blind boys, boy, they had to walk with a stick, and, you know, the children, well, my children in particular, they don't like that. They don't like people refer to them as the blind boys. So they tend not to use the cane anymore. They prefer to walk and, you know, like maybe like touch the walls. Well, my first twin, which is Kian, he in particular, he can see shades, he can see light. So he tend not to use his hands. He wants to be termed as a normal child.
Yes.
He runs, he plays, they play drum, they sing. You know, they do everything like a normal child. Me in particular, I don't even sometimes remember that they have a vision problem.
Yes.
Because of how they operate at home, how they operate with me in particular.
Yeah.
For one, it's mostly, you know, them and myself. So what normally happens is that the other day I was sick, and for some reason, you know, when you're sick and you have flu, you don't want to move, basically. And my sons took very good care of me. Kian in particular, they would take time coming in. Mommy, you want water, you want juice? They will come and make sure, oh, you all right? You sure you're all right? I could put the TV on this or whatever. They know I love cartoons, so it's cartoons, basically. But they themselves, they can cook a bit with supervision. microwave stuff in particular. They do that on their own. They do microwave mac and cheese. They will do baked beans, Vienna sausages and stuff like that. They cook for me, basically, at times.
Yeah. So that's very important, and it's important for persons to know that having a disability does not mean that you have an inability to do everything. You know, that's important. And Mr. Bowen, as you mentioned, of course, you're the president for the St. Kitts Society for the Blind. So essentially, give us a sense of what your role is as president.
Well, my role here is to basically make sure that our mission statement, you know, is, you know, being, you know, looked at by us as an organization. Well, let me give, as you use the word just in terms of ability, our motto for the St. Kitts Society for the Blind is blindness, a disability, not an inability. Right. And our mission statement is to make life more meaningful for persons who are blind and visually impaired living in our community. And that is what, you know, we have been doing despite, you know, the limited resources we have at our disposal, you know, as an organization. Because, you know, we are a non-governmental, non-profit organization. And we, you know, we don't receive a subvention from the government. We have to fundraise, and, you know, with the help from the business community, you know, and we have some very, very supportive business community out there who has been, you know, partnering with us in terms of us fulfilling, you know, our mission statement. You know, we would assist persons with, you know, spectacles, you know, different things, you know, keying other aids and appliances like talking Bible, talking watches, talking clocks, you know, you name it, right? And as I said, you know, we are doing it with, you know, the limited resources, you know, we have at our disposal. So I want to say thanks to those business community and even individuals, you know, in coming on board to make sure that we assist persons who are blind and visually impaired. And also, we have 1 and 2 business houses out there, you know, who employ persons who are blind and visually impaired. You know, I can use myself as an example. I work at Lutheran for 23 years. You know, I give 23 years of service until they close in 2019. My wife also, she's totally blind, and she works at the government daycare center for 27 years. She gave 27 years to the government daycare center. She's retired now. And prior to that, you know, she works at Wellington Limited. It used to be called, I think, the Brazier factory. She worked 12 years there before giving that 27 years to the government daycare center. So these are some of the things that, you know, we are doing as an organization, and I, as a president, you know, I'm overseeing these things. You know, I wish if I had, you know, more, you know, money at my disposal, you know, to even help more people and, you know, better. Yeah, just quickly, Mr. Bowen, can you tell us how long the society has been in existence? Okay, yes. The St. Kitts Society for the Blind was founded on the 18th of October, 1982. Okay, and currently how many members are part of the society? We have approximately, between 50 to 60 members. About 25 of those are active members. Mm-hmm, okay. Yes. When did you join the association? I joined the association in October of 1992. That is when I came to the Federation to take up residency. I came in September, and the following month I joined the organization, and, you know, I've been very active, you know, until a day like today. Ms. Johnson, can you tell us, in terms of dealing with your sons, have you reached out to the Society for the Blind? Is there any assistance that you would have gotten there?
Yes, I'm supposed to be a member of the
That's right.
Blind Association. Because of work, I'm not an active member like that. Yeah, right. Most times, once they call me, I'm there. Once I'm available, yes, I'm there.
That's right.
But as I said before, I work on shifts, so sometimes it's not feasible for me.
Right. And in terms of the development of your sons, have they been able to contribute any resources that would assist with that? Because, of course, well, we are going to speak a bit later about the fact that they're in the Cotton Thomas Primary School, comprehensive school. But in terms of the assistance that you would have gotten from the society, is there anything there?
Their first set of tablets they received was from the Blind Association,
Yes.
which they got to use and was able to, we had a talk back on it where they just tell the tablet what they want and was able to access anything they wanted. They received talking watches also, which they could just ask what the time is and they were told the time. But they was very, very, very pretty young at that time when they received those.
Yes.
And for them, they did not know the real use of the watches. But there wasn't, they couldn't fit really, but they were using them.
Okay. Well, as we mentioned, this month, of course, would be a month that is being observed as a month for helping to raise awareness about issues that are blind. What we're going to do, we're going to speak to you a bit more about that, but we're going to take a quick break. And Ms. Johnson, of course, we encourage you to join into the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back for more In Focus.
Yes.
Welcome back to In Focus. We continue our conversations with Mr. Rockcliffe Bowen of the St. Kitts Society for the Blind and Ms. Doreen Johnson, who is the parent of twin boys who are visually impaired. Mr. Bowen, we said that you are the president of the association. What does the association essentially do to raise the awareness? As we would have heard that, you know, there are some persons based on the experience that Ms. Johnson gave who, and I'm sure you would experience it yourself as well, to who don't quite understand the issues. How does your association have to raise awareness?
Well, what we have been doing since 1993, we decided that to raise proper awareness, we're going to start going into the schools, and that is what we have been doing since 1993 to now. As a matter of fact, we're going to be starting our schools program next week. Both primary and secondary schools, you know, we have been going to the schools, you know, talking to the students and teachers, you know, let them know, you know, how it feels to be blind, what are some of the things they can do not to get their, you know, their eyes injured, you know, in terms of, you know, that led to blindness. And, you know, we have been having radio and television programs. We've been having town hall meetings. You know, we've been having workshop, and in the workshop, you know, we would invite both the private and government corporations and NGOs to send representatives, and, you know, we would get persons, you know, to come in and, you know, to, you know, educate them, you know, so that when they go back to their respective organizations or institutions, they were able to pass on, you know, the knowledge to others, so that they can be aware of the fact that, you know, blind and visually impaired persons, they still have a role to play even though they cannot see or not seeing so good. So those are some of the things that, you know, we have been doing. I'm trying to remember anything else. But, you know, that program has been going pretty well, because, you know, what makes me feel good is something, you know, when I go into the different business places, and, you know, you would see a student who was there from 93, 95, and then they would say, well, come up to me and they would say, good morning or good afternoon, sir. I remember you when you used to come to our school and talk to us. You remember you used to tell us don't throw stones. You used to tell us, you know, don't climb. You know, this kind of thing. And when that happened, it makes me feel good, because it, you know, it shows that what you are doing or what you did in the past, that folks, you know, they still remember it. And then sometimes, you know, they would tell you, well, you know, I went up and I tell my mom and I tell my dad that, you know, Mr. Bowen and Mr. Moses or whoever else, you know, went along with us to, you know, to talk to them. So they too, you know, when we talk to them, they would go home and, you know, share what they learned from us, you know, with other family members. And so those are the things that we, you know, we have been doing, you know, to raise awareness. Also something, you know, when you go into the banks and you're having a conversation with people, you know, you can talk to them. And that is what I have been doing over these years.
Right. Okay. Ms. Johnson, I'm sure you would have done some of that individually as well too. Tell us a bit about, you know, how you have to raise awareness and how that has been going.
Personally, in looking at my sons, what I normally do is tell people that they will ask me like how they cope, what they do, what they can do, what their limitations are. But I always tell people don't treat them differently because they don't like that. They prefer that you treat them like any other child in society. They want to run, they want to play, they want to jump, they want to skip, they want to hop. So just allow them to do that. Some people will be asking, oh, well, how you gonna just leave them to run, you know, and he can't see. Well, he could run, you know, but for sports day, they came first. I had first, second, third, you know, and they are visually impaired. So just let them live. Society needs to let them live. Yes, help them, but let them live. Having being blind or visually impaired doesn't mean that you can't focus or you can't do the schoolwork. You can't, you know, you can't be normal. You know, you can cook, you can clean, you can do anything that your mind tells you to do. Because, you know, my sons make up bed, they clean their own room. I have no problem in terms of that.
And how would you say the Cotton Thomas, being students at the Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School, helps to prepare them to lead productive lives?
Well, for Cotton Thomas, they offer different areas, different skills for them. They have languages where they teach them Spanish. They have cooking classes, they have bed making, they teach them sewing. They have the Braille, which helps them to, you know, read in particular. They have, you know, different skills that will help them later on. In terms of job-wise, they get them attached to a job that will best suit them in particular. There's also the Annie's place, which help them to prepare for work. It also have the disability center, which helps them in terms of doing skills, making baskets. Some of the areas they make sugar cakes, they go out and they sell to the tourist boats, or they sell to the scenic railway, and so they have they're trying their best. They have things in place to help them basically.
And I imagine that will help to improve the spirits of the young men as well.
That's right.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Bowen, you mentioned in terms of organizations being able to hire persons who may be blind or visually impaired. You said that you of course, you work at Lutheran and your wife also works. I think those are success stories. How much more of that would you like to see in society?
I would like to see, you know, more of that being done, you know, because, you know, once you give a blind or visually impaired person the opportunity, they can and will perform. Okay, because I remember when I was first taken to Lutheran, nobody didn't feel that Lutheran was a place for a blind person. There were a lot of remarks made, and you know, I went here, and you know, I proved them wrong. You know, after a while, you know, I was like the king there. You understand? And not only that, I went there as an operator, a machine operator. And from that first machine that I operated, I started to operate, different machines. Well, they have some dangerous ones. They're not going to take the chance to put me in them, right? But I was very successful in doing it. And I think that is what we need as blind and visually impaired persons. Whenever we're given the opportunity, I think we need to go out there and perform so that, we can be role models, for others. Because we see when you do that, you would convince them, you understand? Like, if a blind person goes to TDC and work, and that blind person performs well, it would give the management at TDC the encouragement, to employ more blind people. You understand? So, and that is what we have been doing, because too many people underestimate persons who are blind and visually impaired. But, we going out there and, we are performing, And, especially, look, down at the McKnight Center right now, even though the emphasis is on the blind, we have persons with all types of disability, but the blind, we too, I work there. Right now, I am learning to make baskets. You understand? I'm learning the computer, I'm learning, we have computer training down there. We've been making jewelry from beads, all that I was involved with. Now we are also involved in making other stuff, from coconut shells. We scrape the coconut shells, we sandpaper them, we varnish them, and then, we cut them into different sizes, like, we're making key rings, like the Sinkits map, and, different stuff, the arts, the spades, the diamonds, the clubs, buttons from coconut shells. We are doing tremendous work down at the McKnight Community Center. And blind and visually impaired persons, we are fully involved.
Yeah. Certainly wonderful to hear. All right, we're going to take another quick break, and then we'll invite Ms. Maricia Brown, who is responsible for disability services within the government, to join us. Stay with us. We'll be right back for more In Focus.
If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info. If you haven't done it as yet, please do it today. Subscribe to our YouTube page at SKNIS Media for regular updates, live coverage, and even more information on your government. While you're at it, like, share, and interact with our Facebook and Instagram pages at SKNIS Media and SKNIS Info.
Welcome back to In Focus. We welcome in Mrs. Maricia Brown, who, as mentioned, is the Coordinator for Disability Services within government. Mrs. Brown, welcome.
Good afternoon.
You would have heard a bit of what the guests would have been saying. Tell us a bit about how government assists persons who are either visually impaired or blind.
Well, currently, as Mr. Bowen indicated earlier, the society, they share the same space down at the McKnight Center. So they're allowed to have, to meet there daily, to have the program or to attend the program there every day. And also the STEP program, they have a program down there where it's a training program, and because they're on the STEP program, they receive the same stipend as others who are on the STEP program elsewhere. Of course, we know that persons who are blind or vision impaired, they can continue or have an education at Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School. I've recently learned that there is a student at a secondary school who accommodations have been made to allow that individual to attend that particular school. Of course, at social services, you can receive medical assistance, whether it's for you want to have a procedure done locally, or if you want to go overseas and get procedure done, you can just reach out to social services and get that assistance, or start a conversation there. And also the Ministry of Health. There's a eye clinic for persons who are vision impaired. You can go there and get your eyes checked out.
Right. And you mentioned in terms of the school that is making accommodations for someone who is differently able. What issue do they face in terms of the person themselves? What type of disability do they have?
To be honest with you, I just recently learned of this individual from Mr. Bowen, actually yesterday, I'll be honest. So I think Mr. Bowen might be the best person to answer this question.
Well, I know of this young lady, Maya. She used to attend the Cotton Thomas Comprehensive School, and she excelled so well that she was integrated into the Washington Archibald. Yes.
Right.
We would like to see more of that, being done, and Miss Johnson, I would like to see the two boys also being integrated, into the normal schools, and this is something that we are very proud of, because I can tell you, Mr. Richards, we have students from other countries, who are doing this, who are currently doing and did CXC in the past, and they came out, with subjects. And I would like to see the day when I can jump, even though I'm up in age, when I can jump up to hear one of our blind or visually impaired students come out with 8 or 10 subjects CXC, like other countries are doing right now. So there's a lot of there's a lot of work to be done. And I know once, right now we have on board, the Ministry of Persons with Disability, and I know they're going to work in terms of, assisting those students in getting, in getting their, to achieve whatever goals, they set themselves.
And Mrs. Brown, I imagine that is one of the reasons exactly why the government specifically spelled out disability within the Ministry of Youth Empowerment, Aging and Disability, yes, so that focused attention can be paid to them in that regard.
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay. And Ms. Johnson, I will mention that in terms of, for those who may not be aware, your boys, of course, they are sometimes seen in society in terms of at different events playing the cultural drums. Again, that is something that they're involved in. Tell us a bit about how getting involved in those type of extracurricular activities would help to boost their self-esteem and their confidence, and basically help to raise the consciousness of people is that, we can just do things just as normal as anyone else.
That's true. My sons, they started drumming from toddler age, basically, and they seem to enjoy the drumming. Mr. Roy, as they will call him, he spends great time with them in learning to drum. Keon, in particular, does the drumming, and Keandre does the cymbal. They take it with great pride and joy. They enjoy Wednesdays, to be exact, when Mr. Roy comes to their school, and any particular time when he's not there. Mommy, Mr. Roy ain't come today, Man, school was boring because they look forward for the drumming. They take a lot of pride when persons in society come and ask them to drum or to sing for them at different events and so. And we had an inside joke where when they were asked to come and sing at a particular event, and they were like, "Mommy, me and one go sing," you know. I said, "Why you don't want to sing?" They say, "Oh, they're paying people to sing and we don't get paid to sing. We want to get paid too." And I tell them, "No, that's not how you look at it. You have to put yourself out there, you know, and sing." So they enjoy these activities. Well, Keon likes football also. But as I was saying before, in society, people will see him with a football and say, "Well, he know about football, he blind," you know, things like that. My plea to society is give the blind and visually impaired persons chances.
Yes.
They are human beings, they enjoy what they do, they love what they do, and just support them, basically.
And of course, a part of that, as we mentioned, in terms of raising the awareness, would be a number of activities that the association has planned this month, Mr. Bowen. As we mentioned, that the Regional Awareness Blindness Day, in particular, it's on May 31st, as a person would have seen on the graphic. But there are a number of activities that have been held this month. Can you briefly give us a rundown of some of what they are? Mrs. Brown, you can chime in as well there.
Well, what happens is that this year, because we are now coming off the break from the coronavirus, right? So much has not been done in the past. So we are now getting ourselves, you know, getting our act back together now. So this year, what we is going to be a bit low-key this year. We're going to be having a church service, and I said, you know, the schools, you know, in terms of the radio and television program, we are unable to do it this year, and our symposium because of you know, financial problems. But we're going to be back next year, and our social evening, we're going to be back with those activities next year. But we think going to the school is very important because we need to continue this message, you know, across the Federation by attending, you know, these various schools. And if I may, Mr. Richards, as Ms. Johnson touched on the football, right? We are currently, we are in the process right now of getting a blind cricket team together. We have two folks who is in the Federation right now. They're willing to work with us. They're willing. We are doing some negotiation with the government to see how we can get some monies from them, you know, in terms of getting this program off the ground. But this is something that folks can look forward to, because in terms of the football, you know, we have blind people playing football in, you know, different country. You know, nice big ball with, you know, with a bell. And the bell makes the noise, you understand? As it spread across the field, and, you know, you follow, you know. So it is possible, and we want people in the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis to know that these things are possible. Just give us an opportunity. You know, we want you on board. Give us that support.
And very quickly, you just mentioned the church service. Where will that be held and when?
The church service is this church. I don't remember the name, but the church by the airport there. Pastor Matthew, I think is his name. The name isn't coming to, you know. Yeah, no, not Boland. It's by the airport. It has the word "sent" in it. We were supposed to, the letter was supposed to be, was supposed to go on out this week, but, boy, the name isn't coming.
So what we'll do then is that we will be able to get that information from you.
Yes, I'll give you that information, Mr. Richards.
We'll put it online so that persons who are willing to lend support can do that.
Yes.
Mrs. Pemberton, Mrs. Brown, I'm sorry, you're Pemberton Brown. Anything that you'd like to add?
So I know with Mr. Bowen, some couple months ago, he would have shared with me that in Guyana, one of the things that they do to raise awareness is they have the ministers in government be blindfolded and walk about certain places in Guyana. raise awareness so that they have like a small insight into how it is being blind. And so he said it's an activity that he would like to see here. So what the department is doing is that we are preparing to do the same thing here on the 19th, which is next week, Friday. And we already have the buying of a couple of ministers as well as persons in society. So they'll be starting from different points in Bastille at different times. And each person will be blindfolded. Mr. Bowen has some canes that he said he's going to lend. And they'll have a cane, and they'll have a person who's either blind or vision impaired, as well as a person or a sighted person with them.
Yes.
And they're going to be going to a short distance to see how it is to maneuver through the streets of Bastille. So that's just one. Down in October, we'll also be bringing awareness again to blind and vision impaired. We're hoping to have a blind dinner experience. So persons will be blindfolded. We haven't decided yet whether they'll be blindfolded or whether the lights will be turned off or both. And they have dinner and try to see how that comes about. And that was the idea of the PS, Miss Janet Lewis. She saw it somewhere, I think it's Canada, I think I saw. They do it, and of course we have consultations and workshops that we want to carry out throughout the rest of the year. It's not just going to tailor just to persons who are blind and vision impaired, but other persons with other types of disability.
The ministry continues to work.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Brown, Miss Johnson, and Mr. Bowen for being with us. And we'd like to say thank you, of course, to our viewers and to our listeners for joining us for another edition of InFocus. I'm Ian Richards. Be sure to join us next week at the same time, at the same place.
Join us every Wednesday for InFocus, a weekly talk show produced by the St. Kitts Nevis Information Service, where we provide exclusives with key persons within the government and discuss pertinent, relevant, and interesting matters that affect us all. Tune in every Wednesday, live on ZIZ Radio and streamed live on Facebook at SKNIS Media and ZIZ Online. InFocus, your government, your business.